Welcome to the 2019-2020 fantasy football season. Guys that go for twos. Gentlemen, I am 2 days away from seeing you shit zippers. I am 3 days away from pounding each and every one of you on draft day and just continue my dominance. I will reclaim the Shiva. Let's start with the draft order, just to remind all of you how it will take place. We've already had some trades that are going to alter even the first round. Starting at number 1 will be Josh. Number 2, Ryan Smith. Remember, that's all thanks to Matt Davis playing poker for him. Still not sure if Ryan Smith has ever repaid him. Number 3, Drew Michael. Number 4, Ross. Number 5 is Cubby's pick, but he traded away to Ryan Naughton. Number 6, Jake Kerr. Number 7, Matt Davis. Number 8, Tyler Colin. Number 9, myself. And number 10, Ryan Naughton. So, with the draft order set and the big picture finally set of where we know players are going or where they're not going, I have projected what I think to be the first round. Obviously, this is the guys that go for twos league and anything can happen because you're all fucking morons. But I'm going to make my predictions 1 through 10. Not an accurate prediction, but one nonetheless. At number 1, I think it's very clear who to pick in this situation. It's Alvin Kamara. Josh will pick Alvin Kamara in some miracle chance that Ezekiel Elliott signs, or maybe even Melvin Gordon signs. He may switch up the pick, but at this point in time, it's going to be Alvin Kamara. It's a no-brainer. Coming in at number 2, things already get interesting. I have no idea who Ryan Smith is going to pick. Nobody else has any idea. Only Ryan Smith knows, but I think he is going to go with Le'Veon Bell. I think the hype behind Bell and actually him staying out of trouble has helped his draft value tremendously. Coming in at number 3, DeAndre Hopkins. I think Drew, seeing that Le'Veon Bell is off the board now, Alvin Kamara is off the board now, the safest pick on the board is DeAndre Hopkins. Though it is a wide receiver, there are plenty of picks of running back tiers to get in the second round, especially since Drew has my second round pick, which will be at the turn and pick number 12 overall. He can pick up a solid running back, so I think Drew locks up the number 1 wide receiver. Coming in at number 4, Ross is going to select Davante Adams. The 4 best running backs are off the board. He is minimizing risks by not picking Ezekiel Elliott. All news is now saying that Melvin Gordon actually has a higher chance to sign than Ezekiel Elliott. So I think Ross in this situation goes with the better safe than sorry pick with Davante Adams. Cubby traded away his first round pick and comes in at number 5. So Ryan Naughton officially gets his pick in the first round. And Ryan Naughton goes with David Johnson, which is going to be a surprise pick, I think, no matter who he picks here in the first round. But I think he's going to go with David Johnson. Load up on 2 for sure number 1 running backs in the first round. Ryan Naughton with David Johnson and Saquon Barkley is a strong 1-2 punch. Now that both of the number 1 wide receivers are off the board in Hopkins and Adams, I think the safest bet here is David Johnson, and I think Naughton takes him. Coming in at number 6, another surprise pick, maybe a little bit early, but I think Jake Kerr sees the value and the decision to go with James Conner. Jake has been known to throw a little curveball in the first round. I think he's happy, obviously, with his quarterback. There's plenty of wide receivers later. The top tight end is taken in Travis Kelce. I think Jake goes with the next best available running back, and that's James Conner to me. Coming in at number 7, Matt Davis goes with Julio Jones. The smart pick here after all those running backs go off the board and the 1-2 go for wide receivers. Julio Jones is by far the best wide receiver. That comes in at number 3, especially since a lot of people are expecting Drew Brees to regress. Coming in at number 8, Tyler takes Michael Thomas from the Saints. This is obviously the next best wide receiver out of Hopkins, Adams, and Jones. The logical pick here is to go Thomas. You're not reaching for one of those running backs in the question marks of Todd Gurley, the question marks of Joe Mixon, the question marks of Dalvin Cook. The safe pick here is Michael Thomas. Number 9 and number 10, we all know what's happening. Kevin's keeping McCaffrey. Naughton's keeping Barkley. Pretty easy to determine those last 2 picks, obviously, with the keepers. But where it gets interesting is right away at pick number 2. Pick number 1 is not interesting, but pick number 2 between 8 will be a shit shoot. I can't wait to see what happens, but these are my predictions. Now, what a lot of you have been waiting for is the pre-draft power rankings. I will not be doing another power rankings until after the draft. Hopefully I have time on Monday after I enter in all the picks on ESPN Monday when I get home, and I have to start work back up. But I haven't done a power rankings in a while. I think I did one in the off season, probably in May, just to keep you guys in the loop, and we knew everybody's draft order by then. But I think these power rankings actually hold some value because we have a good idea of people, their picks between the first and second round. We have a good idea of who people are picking. We've all done a mock draft, probably 1 or 2. We've all done some research. We know where players are going. If you haven't done a mock draft, you've probably done an actual league draft. I know I've done 2 myself for actual leagues, but no mock drafts. We know where people are going. We also know people's keepers. So if in the first and second round we know who they're picking, they're probably keeping somebody in the 7th or 8th. We have a good idea of what their team's already going to look like actually before draft day. That being said, I still do have some curveballs in my power rankings, and I'm going to present them to you guys and kind of explain a little bit why. And of course, my power rankings are a little, they're a little off, just because I want to make you guys angry in that group chat and give you something to talk about. But it's going to be controversial right away. Coming in at number 1, I have done this year and year again. The Shiva champion remains at number 1 until somebody beats them. Straight up. Tyler was number 1 in the power rankings. Week 1, it was me against Tyler. Shiva Bowl rematch from the prior year. You got to respect the Shiva champion, no matter who it is. I always have respected the Shiva champion. Therefore, I'm at number 1. We'll see what happens week 1, but I'm playing Cubby, so I'm really not scared. I think I'll stay there for at least, another 2 weeks. I think I have a great keeper, one of the top 3 keepers in the league, that's for sure. I'll explain everybody else's keeper and their picks later on. But having Christian McCaffrey, going forward, I'm pretty comfortable with that, especially since Cam Newton's good to go week 1. A little bit of a scare, but not too worried. Coming in at number 2, Ryan Naughton. I have the little up arrow for Ryan Naughton just because he was sitting pretty with Saquon Barkley at pick number 10. Then he gets Cubby's first round pick. I will explain Cubby's decision later. This hurts the league pretty bad. It makes everybody's team worse and makes Ryan Naughton's team a lot better. Though Ryan Naughton doesn't have a second round pick, a lot of your points come from that first round pick pending injury. If they don't get injured, a lot of your team's points come from that first round pick. It's just facts. So I like Ryan Naughton's situation a lot heading into draft day. I do not actually think he's going to get the number 1 wide receiver, though. I think he actually has to go with a pretty questionable pick, even though he has Cubby's pick. With Ezekiel Elliott sitting out and Melvin Gordon sitting out, I don't see those guys going in the first round anymore, especially since it's getting a lot more cloudy and hazy about how those situations are unraveling. I think both guys are going to miss 2 weeks. I think everybody's going to be scared to pick them. So I don't think Ryan Naughton's first pick from Covey is huge value, but it is value nonetheless. Coming in at number 3, I have Josh Kerr. I've said this time and time again. The offseason hype of Josh Kerr is as equivalent to Antonio Brown or the Cleveland Browns. Everybody's been talking about Josh Kerr's keeper. He's keeping the best tight end with, again, the holdouts of Melvin Gordon and Ezekiel Elliott. Travis Kelce is honestly a first-round guy now. In a 10-man league, Travis Kelce is a first-round guy. You want to lock up that tight end. Josh gets him with the last pick in the second round and gets the number 1 pick. So you're looking at Kamara and Travis Kelce right now. Love those picks. There's no risk there at the moment anyway. Anything can change at any minute. But there's no risk with Josh Kerr picking where he's picking right now. It's just a big 1-2 punch. I love that. Coming in at number 4, I have Jake Kerr. I have Jake dropping just because Josh, I moved him up. Jake, his situation is not great at pick number 6. It's not. I have him picking James Conner in my predictions. I'm going to stick with that. I think that's who he goes with. And he gets to keep Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is obviously a great keeper. 16th round, you get your keeper. Awesome. But it's not as good as me, Naughton, or Josh. It's just not. A quarterback's never on the same level as keeping a true running back or a tight end. I have shown the facts in the GroupMe how the point breaks down. The point differential between the top 3 tight end to the other tight ends is huge. I mean, just incredible. If you want to have the most advantage on a Sunday, you want to have a running back or a tight end as your keeper. You want one of those top guys. Coming in at number 5, I actually have Ryan Smith. I know I've been trashing Chris Carson recently and how he's moving up in the average draft position. I do think it's a little ridiculous. Chris Carson is not on a good offense. They haven't been a running team since Marshawn Lynch was in his prime. I don't think the Seahawks will be a great team, so I just don't see a lot of points. That being said, he's the true workhorse. Penny sucks. He's out of the picture. He might even be a third-string guy midway through the season. Chris Carson, I would say I would value him at like a 6th-round pick. Definitely not a 4th-round pick where he's going right now, but a 6th-round guy. Ryan Smith gets him a lot later than that. I like his keeper. Again, it's a running back, so I value that a lot higher. So I like Ryan Smith's position. Also, he gets the 2nd overall pick in the draft. He can go one of those number 1 wide receivers. He can lock up a David Johnson or Le'Veon Bell. I would not oppose to any of those picks. I like all those picks, especially going with Chris Carson in, I think, the 8th or the 9th. Coming in at number 6, I actually have Drew Michael. The same way Chris Carson is moving up in ADP, Kerryon Johnson is 1 step ahead of him. I do not think Kerryon Johnson is worth his value either, but I do think he's at value where Drew gets to keep him. Kerryon Johnson is a true workhorse, especially with Theo Riddick getting traded or I guess dropped and kicked off the island. That's a lot of passes that are now going to Kerryon Johnson with a pass-happy offense, which has always been with Matt Stafford. So I like Kerryon Johnson a lot. Again, it's a running back, a lot of value there. Drew does have one of the top 3 picks in the draft. He also gets my 2nd-round pick. We swap seconds. So call it the sloppy seconds, whatever you want to do. But I like that position for Drew. I like that trade for Drew. I also like the trade for myself, obviously. But I think it makes both our teams a lot better. Coming in at number 7, I have Matt Davis. He is also rising just because the people that I have in the last 3 slots are moving down. But Matt Davis has Sony Michel. And if you follow B reporters through Patriots camp, Sony Michel has been flashing glory. He has been incredible in training camp. Sony Michel, I think, is a big hype man. Definitely pending injury. He's an injury guy. He's always been injured through his high school, college career. But if he stays healthy, the Patriots run the ball more than any other team in the NFL, especially when it comes to the red zone. Even James White, he was on my team last year. He averaged 12 points a week. He was a top 15 running back. I think he finished as the 12th best running back in football. James White. Sony Michel can now be that guy. The top running back in New England, as much as you want to say it's committee, they run 4 running backs. You never know who it's going to be. There is value, so much value to be had. James White, LeGarrette Blount, Rex Burkhead, you name it, there's value there. Going in at number 8, I have Tyler Colin, and I feel bad because I hyped Tyler's team up. I love the Julian Edelman keeper when it happened. When keepers locked at the beginning of August, this just shows you how much can change in a matter of weeks. I think keepers locked on August 3rd. Tyler kept Julian Edelman. He texted me, hey, Kevin, lock my keeper. I'm like, I'm not your bitch, but I'll lock him anyway. I locked his keeper. He gets to keep Julian Edelman in the 9th round. Great value. Then, all of a sudden, news starts breaking. Josh Gordon might be coming back. Josh Gordon comes back. He's now on the team. He's ready to go. He might be ready to go week 1 already. When Josh Gordon was on the field, he got 25% of Tom Brady's passes. The running back got 40% of Tom Brady's passes. There's not much left over all of a sudden for Julian Edelman already, the Super Bowl MVP. Now there is even word on top of that that the Gronk may be coming back to football. If this all unravels and goes and Julian Edelman gets injured with his foot again, I don't think the keeper value is there anymore. I don't think it's a great keeper anymore. Especially being a wide receiver, it's not great value in the first place. Being on top of that, the news coming out of New England for the passing game is not great. Coming in at number 9, I have Cubby. Cubby I actually have rising because I had this other moron falling. But Cubby, the problem with Cubby is I'd actually have him dropping. I would, but he couldn't drop any farther. And the guy below him is just shit out of luck. So Cubby I have rising, but let me tell you why he's falling at the same time. Cubby traded away his first overall pick. I understand what he's doing. I get it. He says, I can get the same guy that I won in the first round that I won in the second round, which is Nick Chubb. He's going to be picking Nick Chubb with his first pick in the second round, with Naughton's pick. At the 11th pick, he's picking Nick Chubb. The problem is, Nick Chubb's going to be great. He's a good second-round pick. Yes, Cubby, good job. We already know who you're picking. Everybody in the league knows it. The problem is, the first-round pick is a for-sure guy. It's a lockdown guy. That's why I don't think anybody's picking Melvin Gordon or Ezekiel Elliott. It's a for-sure guy. 25 to 30% of points in fantasy football come from people's first-round picks when they make the playoffs or win the championship. That's an ESPN fact. Out of your first 2-round picks, the odds are that your first 2-round picks score 40% of your fantasy points throughout the whole season. Having 2 second-round picks just hurts you. It just simply, it hurts you. Cubby even said in the group chat, he likes shopping at Costco. That's great. Cubby, you love shopping at Costco. The problem with shopping at Costco is you give yourself a headache when it comes to week 1 through week 13. You don't know who to play. If you don't know who to play, you can't win weeks. You just simply cannot win weeks. I do not agree with Cubby's decision here to trade away his first-round pick. I just don't think there's a lot of value there. Also, Cubby is gaining all these mid-round picks from other people, which is just not the brightest idea because guess what? We all have the same number of roster spots. So he has to get rid of some people eventually anyway, and when it comes down to it, week 1, you really don't know who's going to be good at all. I'll admit it myself. I dropped George Kittle after I drafted him week 1 just because week 1 he dropped like 7 points. And then week 2, I even kept him, and he didn't do anything again, so I just dropped him. That'd be a great keeper. But the problem is, after pick 14, you really don't know what's going on. I just think Cubby's making a headache for himself. I just don't see where he's really going with this. I think he's going to be left with a lot of average players. I think he's really going to realize his regret, his decisions that he's made prior in about week 4 or 5. when he goes, "Oh, if I would have played that guy, I would have won." Yep, you'll be doing that all season, Cubby. Coming in at number 10, the last place position is Ross Davis. Ross, I'm sorry. I think you'll have a good draft. I really do. I think you've been putting in the work, doing the research. The problem is you just don't have a keeper. Everybody coming into draft day has value in some shape or form, and they already have a better pick than you do. Because you just don't have a pick. So you are number 10 in my power rankings right now, today. Even though we haven't drafted, you have a worse draft than everybody else on the board. When I look at the board, I see everybody else already has picks and great picks. I'm like, oh yeah, we got Sony Michel in the 7th. We have Julian Edelman in the 9th. We have Patrick Mahomes in the 16th. They have great picks, and I look at Ross, and it's just like, oh, he doesn't have any. And he lost his 12th round. It's just not a great look for Ross right now. Losing one pick, he's down a pick, and he has no keeper. The keeper league was made to have advantages. For year to year, you can have an advantage going into the next year if you did draft well. It doesn't give you a huge advantage, but it definitely gives you some. So for that reason, I have Ross at number 10. So going forward, I have done this week in and week out with my power rankings. I always give 5 predictions for the following week and 5 highlights. I don't have highlights for the off season, I'll be honest. Just so much happened between the trades that we did, between just doing poker night in general, Ross joining halfway through and dumping all his chips. I mean, we'll get into that this weekend. Please, let it all out. Let the whole off season, let all those stupid fucking Cubby comments in the group chat really get out when we're drunk this weekend. Please, just fucking destroy his asshole. But so much happened in the off season. I'm just gonna recap it this weekend with all you guys there. Instead, I'm going to do 5 draft day predictions. What I think is going to happen besides just the first round. Number 1, Ryan Naughton finds a way to mess up 2 first-round picks. He has 2 first-round picks, but I think his first pick before his keeper, Saquon Barkley, there's so much that could happen. He could pick Ezekiel Elliott or Melvin Gordon and be like, well, I have 2 first rounds. It doesn't matter who I pick. The problem is he doesn't have a second round, so it does matter who he picks here. Then the 2 top wide receivers will be gone, and the 2 top running backs will be gone, most likely, probably 3. So I think Ryan Naughton's left in a world of hurt and just, it's definitely a question mark pick. There's some concerns that go along with Ryan Naughton's pick. For that reason, I don't think he goes for the for sure pick here, and he messes it up. My second prediction is that Matt Davis is not the first person to pick a kicker. I don't know if you guys realize this. This offseason has been kind of scary. I have been the Shiva Bowl champion. I was in the Shiva Bowl last year. I've won the Shiva Bowl before. But I think going into this next year will be the most competitive year yet. We've always had one guy who just has been out of the league or just not concerned with it. This year coming in, Matt Davis has shown me Excel spreadsheets, which he had when he won the Shiva Bowl. He was running the most elaborate Excel spreadsheets that he's found on Reddit. I forgot the other website that he uses. And then Pro Football Focus. He's running these elaborate spreadsheets, and the last time he did that, he won the Shiva. I am concerned. I am very concerned, not only with Matt Davis, but with Ryan Smith, has been very active in the last few weeks. And even Tyler, I texted him yesterday about what time worked to draft. He responded within a minute. I'm pretty nervous going into draft day, I will be honest. My third bold prediction for draft day is that Cubby's team is so average, they tinkers right away on Sunday. I don't know if that's a bold prediction. It's probably not. It's probably that's a fact. With the season does have a quick turnaround this year. We are drafting actually later than honestly I'd like at this point, just because we already know where people are drafting. There's not much value to be had. You more have to reach for the guys to make sure you get them. Since week 3 of the preseason has already passed, but we only have 4 days until the season starts with Green Bay and Chicago. It's going to be the greatest game ever. But Cubby's team is just going to be so average, like I stated before. He is not going to know what to do with his lineup right away on Sunday. I know he's going to text me. He's going to talk to me. He's going to whisper to me at night, hopefully with a condom on. But he's going to ask me, who to put in his flex. And I just say, please don't put it in my butthole. My fourth prediction for draft day is that we don't get a noise complaint, but we get a domestic violence complaint. 100% this will happen. If one of you steals my pick, I know I won't be the only one. I will probably throw something at you, punch you, get pissed at you, get up in your face. I have been known to be very vocal about what picks I like and don't like. That's just me on draft day. Sometimes I'm just trying to get in people's head. Most of the time I'm being 100% honest. And the final draft day prediction is that nobody will be a pussy and refuse to go out. I say this as a prediction, but it's more of a request. I don't want Cubby to say he hasn't drinking in a while, and that's why he's so wasted and blacked out and been throwing up, that he doesn't want to go to the bars on Saturday night. Draft your team, have a good few drinks, get buzzed, get drunk by the 16th, 17th, 18th round, because dear God, we'll need it. It'll just be a great time. But remember, it's still 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we are going out that night. I want to take embarrassing photos of people. I want a video of Cubby jumping in the fucking river. That would just make my weekend. I only have one weekend to spend with all you fucktards. I want to make it legendary. So nobody will be a pussy and refuse to go out. My next and final slide is just something that I would like to highlight going into this season. It's the 10 Commandments of fantasy football. I feel like I've made a lot of rules, and it just hasn't been a lot of gospel. I haven't spoken to the people of my fantasy football league that I am commissioner of. It's more of, don't do this, don't do that. So instead, I will inflict fear upon each and every one of you so you don't go to hell. So here are the 10 Commandments of fantasy football so you can go to the fantasy land and live forever and not fucking go to the devil or the sack-up. Number 1, no other gods before Shiva. Even bigger prize pools at work. I know we are growing up. The more we grow up, the more money we get into our hands. The more money you have, the more problems you have. Shout out to Biggie. The thing is, there's one God. There is one goal in life. There's one mission each and every year, and that is to be closer to Shiva than you have been the year before. No other gods before Shiva, even money. Number 2, you shall not have false idols. Example being Tyler worshiping Todd Gurley last year. Ask Tyler, how did worshiping Todd Gurley go last year? Oh, he made the playoffs? Oh, he lost round 1? Remember, each and every week, Tyler praised in the group chat. Weekly reminder, Kevin Davis did not pick Todd Gurley with the number 1 overall pick. While Tyler went to bed and prayed for Todd Gurley every night. I said an Our Shiva prayer every night. I prayed to Shiva. I kept my faith in Shiva. Even in the hardest, darkest times, I kept my faith in Shiva, and she took me to the promised land. Number 3, you shall not say Shiva's name in vain. She is a blessing, not a curse. I hear this time and time again. The Shiva curse. Oh, Kevin's next for the Shiva curse. Shiva is a blessing. Shiva does not curse anyone. If you keep your faith with Shiva, you will live on. Number 4, keep football Sunday holy, and Thursday, and Monday Night Football, and the once in a blue moon Saturday when college is done. Don't cheer for teams, cheer for your fantasy team. Number 5, honor your family, the ones who have been there from the start, the guys that go for 2. We are all going to Milwaukee this weekend for one reason and one reason only, Shiva. Number 2 being, we all want to see each other. This is the greatest weekend of the year. It's better than Christmas. Obviously, I'm growing up now. There's a lot of days better than Christmas. Christmas sucks. I have to buy everybody fucking presents. It's better than the 4th of July. It's better than having the day off of Labor Day. Draft day is the best day of the year. The best days of my life. Coming in at number 6, you shall not wish injury of other players. It's just bad taste. Honestly, it's like wishing for Mitchell Trubisky or Khalil Mack to tear their ACL. I may be the biggest Packers fan, but I love Khalil Mack. Having Khalil Mack in the NFL and on the Bears even makes the rivalry so much better battling Aaron Rodgers. It's always Aaron Rodgers against Khalil Mack. I don't like when it's Ben Roethlisberger against Tom Brady because the two quarterbacks aren't even on the field at the same time. They're not battling each other really. But Khalil Mack and Aaron Rodgers is the greatest rivalry ever. I do not want either of them to get injured. Having star players injured hurts the NFL, it hurts viewership, and it hurts fantasy football. I want to prove that I am better than my friends. I don't want to tie. I don't want to have their best players on bye, and I sure as hell don't want to have their players injured. I want to beat them fair and square with my best lineup against their best lineup. Such as being Cubby making the fucking excuse that in the Shiva Bowl, Aaron Rodgers went into overtime and threw to Devontae Adams. Without the overtime, I still would have pounded Cubby's asshole. Just remember that. Coming in at number 7, you shall not cheat on Shiva. One love. I have a girlfriend. Josh is getting married. Some other people have girlfriends. Some other people have boyfriends. But you shall not cheat on Shiva. Shiva does not want any side hoes. Even if that side hoe is your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, it is Shiva and only Shiva. Number 8, you shall not trade rape. Don't trade rape. Just don't do it. It's just, goddamn. I mean, people will tell me that I trade rape Drew. The problem is Le'Veon Bell was traded after that fact even. So Le'Veon Bell traded hands yet again. And when I traded Le'Veon Bell out too, Ryan Naughton wanted him. Jake Kerr wanted him. Half the league wanted Le'Veon Bell when I traded him to Drew. It wasn't trade rape. I must say the only trade rape I actually did last year was I traded whatever fucking Thompson guy was the running back for the Redskins. I traded him for Aaron Jones. That was trade rape. But don't do it deliberately. I mean, just don't do it. Number 9, you shall not bear false witness and take part in collusion. Yeah, I'm probably going to hell for this one. Just straight up, I colluded with Josh Kerr and Matt Davis and Jake Kerr at the Thanksgiving Day table right after prayer. I am definitely going to hell. I texted Ross the week after Thanksgiving and pretended I was a doctor. You know, it sounds so stupid that I don't know if it is collusion. It's just pure 23 chromosomes out of Ross. But don't partake in collusion. And number 10, you shall not covet and bitch about the what ifs. Ross is pretty notorious for this. I think everybody in the league has been guilty of this at one time or another. Don't just bitch about your point total and say, oh, I should have been in the playoffs. Oh, if I would have picked that guy on draft day or not dropped that guy, I would be in the playoffs. It's a weekly game. Change your strategy every week. I will say this time and time again that fantasy football is a weekly game. You do not win on draft day. You do not win in the first 3 weeks. If anything, you want to lose draft day, lose the first 2 weeks and get some great waiver wire pickups. Maybe make some trades. Do not talk about the what ifs. Just change it. You sound like people who say, oh, I want minimum wage to go up. I'm not making enough in my job. Well, then get off your lazy ass and work and do something important. Get off your lazy ass and manage your damn fantasy football team. Manage to win. That's all I have. Those are my predictions, my 10 commandments of fantasy football, and my power rankings. Please drop your thoughts in the group me. I would love to hear from all of you. I'm sorry I ran a little overboard on this one, but it's been a while since I've done some power rankings. Thanks for listening. Can't wait to see all you fucking clowns in 2 days. Let's go.